Greetings, everyone. It's Glenn Kellaway coming to you from the basement. It is Tuesday morning. All excited for the live chat tonight, which is the theme will be the 80s, our top 10 songs from the 80s. That is a segue to this video. Um, I have to admit, I was one of those guys. I mean, I'm an old timer, 60s, 70s. I thought 80, when everybody mentioned 80s music to me, I'd say that was the worst decade for music ever. It just sucked. That was always my strong viewpoint. And there were, of course, some exceptions. I was a fan of Tears for Fears, uh, also some songs that came out in the 80s from people who I admired in the 70s and 60s. So, but for the most part, I didn't care for the music that was getting played on the radio. And when you think about it, though, if you took 70s pop music and played it for people and said this was a great decade for music, you could make a pretty good argument that there was a lot of crappy music came out in the 70s. So maybe it's just every decade you have to kind of, do a bit of homework and search for the music out there. It's there. Which brings me to this point. A new release. Steven Wilson's. Steven Wilson presents Progressive Sounds in UK Alternative Music, 1979 to 1989, Intrigue. This is a CD box set, 4 CDs. It's also available on 7 LP set. The reason I bought the CD set instead of the vinyl is because on Amazon.ca, the vinyl set was $270 with tax. I'm $300 getting that thing to my door. This was $64. It was a no-brainer. I just got it last night. So first I'll show you the set and I'll talk to you a little bit about it. So it's a book style set, hardcover, gives you the track listings on the back. Nice looking packaging, pretty basic. CDs are housed right there. I'll show you one of this. They're all the same. There's, sorry about that. There we go. Attractive looking package. Oh. In the back, there is the duplicate with the last 2 CDs. So there you go. It came with a hype sticker, so I just stuck it on inside the packaging. I want to read the blurb to you here. First of all, Intrigue. It is 58 tracks over 4 CDs, exploring the creativity, experimentation, and progressive spirit of alternative British music from 1979 to 1989, featuring bands like Wire, XTC, The Cure, Tears for Fears, Kate Bush, The, which I always thought was a stupid name, and many more. There's only one track from each band, so there's 58 different bands. Includes an 80-page booklet with extensive liner notes. I can vouch for that. And here's Steven Wilson's mindset for producing this set. This is my personally curated attempt to redress the balance and to perhaps introduce any 80s skeptics, which I was one, that out there to the idea that conceptual thinking and ambition didn't suddenly evaporate after 1977. Ambitious, weird, and thrilling music was all around you in the 80s if you looked in the right places. That's exactly my point. It's the same with my point of anything. You gotta, music does not come to you. Good music does not come to you. You have to go find it. It's out there. So, the set. Here's the book. Steven Wilson gives there's a bunch of kind of, just typical arty kind of photos. Then Intrigue, Steven Wilson gives his whole thought process of how he, growing up in the 80s and whatever. There's Mr. Wilson there. I'm a big fan of his work. Again, just kind of arty kind of pictures. And then we start, every song has a thing. So the band that kicks off this set is Wire. Then Bill Nelson's Red Noise. Now, Nelson, I am familiar with from his work with Bebop Deluxe and a couple of his solo albums. That he's just an outstanding musician. What a guitar player! But most of the set, there's Tears for Fears. The Cure's on here. You know what? If someone put $1 million down on the table right now and said name a Cure song, I wouldn't win the $1 million. I can't name one, but I'm familiar with the band. I know who they are, but never listened to them. Then Complicated Game is on here from XTC, which is becoming one of my favorite bands, and that's from the album Drums and Wires. There's like Public Image. There's all kinds of bands. The Stranglers. I listened to, I'd say, the first 8 or 9 tracks, and was blown away. I didn't hear a bad track, and one thing that really struck me was how cohesive the set is with all different musicians. You would think it's going to be kind of, I don't know, disjointed or something, but it just flowed beautifully. Like it gave the impression it's one band, kind of. It's really, really good. I haven't listened. I'm dying to hear the rest of the set. So, Intrigue, Steven Wilson, strongly suggest you give it a check. It's not that expensive to buy the CD set, and just a wealth of great music. I am really anxious to check out the rest of it. I will hold that up like that, and hopefully you guys would be able to see the bands and the maybe if I do it this way. So tonight's chat, the subject is the 80s. Myself, my partners in crime, Sam St. John and Rob from Northern Revolutions, and we are having a special guest tonight, Brian from Embryonic Journey. Brian is a 80s fanatic. He's going to be our 80s expert, and we're all coming up with our top 10 80s songs. I'm going to rethink my list now. I'm thinking rather than pick, like, for instance, I've got a Bob Dylan song that was on an album that came out in the 80s. I think I might just do all 80s bands, and poor Bob just might have to take a back seat to some of this great music. Anyway, thank you so much. By the way, I hit 1,800 subscribers, and this is my 600th video. So thanks so much for all the support over the last 3 years, and thanks for helping me reach that 1,800 goal. Take care.